A massive, completely out-of-nowhere blockbuster just rocked the NBA. The Orlando Magic have pulled off one of the boldest trades in recent league history, sending 4 first-round picks, a future pick swap, Cole Anthony, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Desmond Bane. No leaks, no buildup, just one phone call, and the NBA landscape instantly shifted. Most people never even imagined Bane would be the one on the move. When trade rumors circled Memphis this offseason, everyone focused on Ja Morant, with his off-court issues, injuries, and uncertain leadership status. If Memphis was going to shake up the roster, the world assumed it would be Ja, not Bane. But in a stunning twist, it was Desmond Bane who became the centerpiece of a blockbuster deal. And now, both franchises have completely pivoted into new directions. But how did this shocking trade even come together? And why would Orlando pay so much to get Desmond Bane? The answer lies in a story of desperation, strategy, and risk-taking that few saw coming. For the Orlando Magic, this move wasn't made on a whim. It's been building behind the scenes for months. Orlando's young core was exciting. Paolo Banchero blossomed into a franchise star. Franz Wagner evolved into a dynamic two-way forward, and Jalen Suggs emerged as a tough defensive leader. The Magic had the pieces, but they lacked one thing: perimeter shot creation. Orlando's offense desperately needed a guard who could hit big shots, create off the dribble, and open up the floor for Paolo and Franz. The numbers were glaring. Orlando ranked dead last in the league in three-point shooting despite making the playoffs. A brutal combination that simply wasn't sustainable. The front office knew they couldn't enter another season without addressing the problem. Behind closed doors, Orlando explored every option. They made calls on Darius Garland in Cleveland. They inquired about Trae Young in Atlanta. They checked on Anthony Simons in Portland. Every name floated around as a possible Magic target, but either the asking prices were too steep or those teams weren't willing to deal with Orlando. Every door kept closing. And then, almost quietly, Desmond Bane entered the picture. Unlike the other trade targets, Bane fit Orlando's needs perfectly. He's not just a shooter, he's one of the league's most lethal long-range threats, hitting over 40% from deep year after year. But what makes him special is his versatility. Bane can handle the ball, create his own shot, run pick and rolls, and defend at a high level. At only 26 years old, Bane was entering his prime. He had playoff experience, durability, and the type of game that ages well. Orlando didn't just see a shooter. They saw a high-impact piece who could immediately elevate their offense without compromising their defensive identity. More importantly, he was available. Memphis wasn't actively shopping Bane, but Orlando's front office made an offer so aggressive that Memphis couldn't say no. The Magic put together a deal that forced Memphis's hand. 4 future first-round picks, including a 2026 selection from Phoenix, plus Cole Anthony and KCP. For Orlando, it was now or never, and they went all in. One of the biggest reasons Orlando was willing to give up so much was Desmond Bane's contract. Just last offseason, Bane signed a 5-year extension that locks him in through the summer of 2029. His salary ranges between $35 and $45 million per season, a huge number, but one that fits Orlando's long-term salary plan perfectly. The Magic knew that in the next few years, they would have to pay max extensions to Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Jalen Suggs is already making solid money. By adding Bane now, they effectively locked in their core 4 for the next half-decade, all under contracts they could plan around before the second apron tax penalties grow even harsher. In this new NBA economic landscape, securing stars early and knowing your financial future matters more than ever. For Orlando, Bane wasn't just the right player, he was the right contract at the right time. But let's not sugarcoat it. Orlando paid a steep price. 4 first-round picks, gone. A future pick swap, surrendered. Cole Anthony, out. KCP, out. This is the kind of package that teams usually reserve for true superstars. And while Desmond Bane is excellent, he's not a perennial All-NBA player or MVP candidate. Orlando's front office knew they were overpaying. They simply didn't care. The opportunity to complete their roster now, while their young core is still ascending, was too valuable to pass up. But with that massive price tag comes equally massive pressure. Orlando isn't allowed to fail anymore. They can't afford to be a 6 seed and call it progress. This move only works if the Magic transform into a real Eastern Conference contender within the next 1 or 2 seasons. Anything less, and this gamble could haunt them for a very long time. While Orlando made headlines for their aggression, Memphis made headlines for their cold-blooded timing. The Grizzlies weren't desperate, but after a brutal season filled with injuries, drama, and a stunning coaching change, Memphis realized something important. Their championship window was no longer guaranteed. Ja Morant's off-court controversies led to multiple suspensions. Jaren Jackson Jr. remained a defensive force but hasn't yet become a consistent offensive star. And Memphis's depth, once a strength, had started to thin out. Instead of locking into a massive payroll with no flexibility, the Grizzlies chose a different path, one built on patience, flexibility, and future opportunity. Trading Bane allowed Memphis to avoid a crushing financial commitment while securing a mountain of draft assets that could be flipped later for another star. When Orlando offered the package, Memphis simply couldn't refuse. 4 unprotected first-round picks, a future pick swap, a proven veteran in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who brings playoff experience, perimeter defense, and a stabilizing presence, and a young scoring guard in Cole Anthony, who gives them offensive punch off the bench. Most importantly, Memphis keeps the flexibility to build around Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. long-term. They aren't tearing it down, they're resetting the board. By cashing in on Bane while his value was sky-high, Memphis secured both short-term contributors and long-term options. In a league where most teams hold on to their stars too long, Memphis made the ruthless, but very smart decision to pivot early. This trade could end up changing the balance of power in both conferences. For Orlando, the window to become a real contender has opened. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, and now Desmond Bane. That's a core that could compete deep into the playoffs if everything clicks. Suddenly, the Magic are no longer the fun young team. They're a team nobody wants to face. For Memphis, the gamble is different. They're betting that a more flexible future gives them a better chance to strike big when the next superstar becomes available. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder or New Orleans Pelicans, Memphis now holds a war chest of picks to make their next move, whether that's next season or 3 years from now. So who won this trade? Right now, it's impossible to say. If Orlando climbs into the Eastern Conference elite, this gamble will look brilliant. If Bane struggles or the Magic plateau, the cost of those 4 first-round picks will loom large. For Memphis, the real payoff may not be seen for years. If they use these picks wisely or flip them into a superstar, this move could become one of the savviest trades of the decade. What's certain is this: both franchises took massive risks, and both now face enormous pressure to prove they made the right call. Because in the modern NBA, standing still is often more dangerous than taking the leap. And both the Orlando Magic and Memphis Grizzlies just leapt into the unknown.